So what does stage 5 mean? Stage 5 is the surface investigations. It would have to take place in the park. We're actually about to go into stage 4 in January. The survey is this area here, to the south of Benadell Water. So what does that look like? Well, there's a need for an office compound. The NDA accept this in their reports, and I'm sure Alan will challenge me if that's not the case. But they suggest an office compound with 100 to 150 workers, laboratory, warehousing for the cores. It would also be a drill site in this area here. You'd probably drill more than one direction in order to minimise the amount of drill pads you need. But this could be in the region of half a square kilometre, and you need roads into the valley, roads to take you onto the top of the fell. So that one suggestion here is a road going off here. There are lots of ways you could do this. Also, the road going back here, this is a forestry track at the moment, and I believe that is actually wide enough as it stands for what you need for stage 5. Here's a picture of the road on the way to Bowness Knot. So you need to go down this road in order to reach the office site. You can see this is not the narrowest bit. We haven't taken a photo of the narrowest bit of the road, I should be clear. But you do get forestry trucks along this road at the moment. Therefore, potentially it's just about suitable, but the likelihood is for stage 5, for the equipment you bring in, you might need new passing places. You need to do something to the road because there's quite a lot of vehicles. And then the real question is, stage 6, if you actually go ahead and build this repository, there are different ways you could do it. But one possibility, and probably the cheap option, is to bring the excavation spoil out this way. And as I said in the video, that would take around, if you had one lorry leaving every 4 minutes during working hours for 30 years, that's an 8-wheel tipper truck, it would take 30 years to bring the waste out that way. So that's, frankly, you couldn't do it with a road like that. You'd have to change the road completely. There are other possibilities, so we're not saying this is how it will be, but this is certainly the cheaper of the two options that we can see. So let's have a look at putting a road onto Ennerdale Fell. This is a suggestion from Professor Smythe. You could run it up Silver Cove back here, up onto the top. It's a reasonably steep road, up to about 1 in 4.4. That's one way of doing it. Another way is to take a road up from Sculdeskew. You also need roads off, and basically because you can't drill from just one place. You've got to drill from several places on the granite. But we know actually that there is a forestry track at the moment where you can bring timber lorries up this way onto Heckbarley Pike. So the likelihood is it would kind of make sense to use that forestry track and extend it onto Ennerdale Fell and probably off to meet the other drilling pads. So we're talking about in the region of 16 drilling pads, each a little smaller than a football pitch, not all at the same time. That will be over the course of 10 years to explore this area. So this is the kind of, these are the drilling rigs they used at Longlands Farm. Stations here, stage 5, several roadways onto the fell, the seismic reflection survey going on for 1 to 2 years, public excluded for some of that time, and drilling of the granite for around about 10 years. I think the NDA document suggests 8 years, but we think it's a pretty complex rock formation, so more like 10 years. Stage 6, well, there are lots of questions about stage 6. That's the actual building of the repository, but if we follow the NDA design spec, that's a generic spec, then you need 3 vertical shafts, but frankly, I don't think they anticipated when they designed it that they would perhaps be considering somewhere like Ennerdale Fell. So let's have a look at what this means. Here's a map. So right now, here's the existing boundary of the Lake District National Park. If you were to put the tunnel directly from Sellafield into the Ennerdale Granite and perhaps another exit to Gillerthwaite, you couldn't possibly have just one tunnel leading that way. It'd be completely unsafe. I mean, frankly, if you're working there and there was a problem, you're in trouble. You need more than one way out here. So Professor Smythe's suggestion is the way out via Gillerthwaite, and this could also be how they remove spoil. He would then suggest changing the park boundary, because this is so inconsistent with a national park. You should cut the Ennerdale Granite out of the park, remove about 5% of the park in the process. Here's a cross-section of the area. So we're talking about a tunnel, a gently sloping drift from Sellafield down into the repository. At the moment, the NDA generic spec suggests 1 5-metre tunnel in that area. Now, if they went ahead with 1 5-metre tunnel, we think that wouldn't be enough. That would be enough for waste emplacement, but we think that wouldn't be enough for bringing the spoil out. There is a vast quantity of spoil. It's possible to bring it out via Sellafield, but you probably need 3 tunnels and much higher spec tunnels than that. So it comes down to cost. I think my feeling is Alan will try and convince you that, you know, what we're suggesting is crass and irrational, and talk as if perhaps money is no object. But money is an object. Money is taken very seriously by the current government, and I can't imagine. We're talking about a few £billion as the extra cost of tunnelling like this, I believe. The total project's around about 12 billion is the budget. You know, take the government's usual performance, you probably expect 20 to 30 billion to be the real number. So are they going to be willing to spend a few extra billion putting maybe 3 tunnels? I don't know. So we're saying it's unsuitable because of the topography. The international criteria should exclude it. The access, essentially, you know, carrying out this kind of geological, geophysical survey on an area like Anglero Fell is incredibly difficult, and it's likely to have this complex tunnel structure that we see from the magnetic and radiometric signatures. So essentially we're saying it is unsuitable. I'm going to leave the environmental stuff to John, who's going to cover that. So rather than just say, don't do it here, I want to talk about an alternative. Extended interim storage at Sellafield. If you built right now proper terrorist-proof secure interim storage at Sellafield, what you do is you allow yourself time to do this thing properly, the way every other civilized country does it. First, you look for geology. You get suitable geology, then you seek volunteer communities from those places with suitable geology. And what you'll end up with, you're going to have to pay for it. It's going to be a reverse auction. You're going to have to pay people to take this stuff, but ultimately, you know, you're likely to succeed. Other countries have. We're likely to do it as well. And you allow scientific advance to deal with some of the problems of the waste. Certain parts of this waste come from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, badly packed, badly characterized. We don't really know a lot about it, so frankly, it's going to have to be buried, but not all of it. Some more recent waste, you know, you may well be able to deal with it if you allow scientific advance to do that. So the upside of this is plenty of new jobs for Sellafield, and that's an excellent thing. These are jobs now. We're not talking about jobs for geophysical specialists who are coming in from outside, which is pretty much what you get with the repository. We're talking about jobs people in Cumbria can do. Increased short-term safety, because we know from the National Audit Office that there are problems with short-term safety right now. And most significantly of all, the legacy we're going to leave for future generations will be safe. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.